Have you ever had something that feels like it's like the weight of the world on your shoulders? It's kind of the way that this concrete pour was for me. Just organizing everything to get people out here to help me, to organizing the concrete truck to get out to the property, making sure that it was able to come exactly to the pour site because we didn't have buggies. All of that stuff was just really getting at me. But we're finally here at pour day. All of it worked out. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video of us pouring the concrete pad for the shed. And I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of comments of how much did all of this concrete cost you? I will do a cost analysis breakdown at the end of the video so I can show you exactly how much per yard and how much total they cost me in my neck of the woods. One of the other things is I am not a professional concrete layer. I don't know anything about pouring concrete. You'll see throughout the video that the driver of this truck helped us out a tremendous amount. He had a lot of tips and tricks that he was basically instructing us on how to do. So this is not a tutorial by any means. This is a DIY concrete pour, if you will. We're not giving any advice on how to do any of this stuff. We are just trying to get a concrete pad laid and as level as possible. So if you guys do have any tips and tricks or techniques that you would use, I'll definitely be open to it. But again, we may be doing a ton of stuff wrong here in the video, but this is what worked for us. This was one of the points that I wanted to show is the truck driver was very patient and very kind with his time. He showed us how to do multiple things and told us to take our time and was really helpful throughout the whole entire process. He didn't rush us one bit, and we had to redo a couple spots, and he was very patient with us and allowing us to just go back and redo it, saying, take your time, it's all right. And you can kind of see here that, he's actually helping, and like we could call him a fourth guy on the team, really. But yeah, he was awesome. How fast that this pour went really astonished me. We were able to pour this whole entire pad in under an hour and 15 minutes. And for me, never been able to do concrete before, this is my first time. I felt like that went super quick. And I know we're not hand mixing that, so obviously that would have taken us all day, but the truck definitely helped. And obviously you can see that this guy's a professional the way that he's moving this stuff around. One thing I decided to do was, because this is just having a shed put on top of it, we did not put any rebar down. We were going to put chicken wire down to give it some sort of stability, but after talking with the concrete company, they basically said that if we used fiber in the concrete, it's just as good as rebar, especially for the purposes of what we were using it for, just putting a shed on top of it. So for this instance, we just had concrete with fiber in it, and they said it's supposed to hold up pretty well, just as like if rebar was inside of it. I don't have any experience with fiber and concrete, so if you guys have any stories or details or personal experiences with fiber and concrete, I would love to see that stuff in the comments, because I'm curious to see how long that this fiber will last with the concrete. Will it end up crumbling? Will it not work? Will it work better than if there was rebar in it? I'm not sure. Time will tell. Because this area is so large, we ended up screeding a different way of just bringing the board towards us. In the past, I've usually just screeded just going back and forth in a shaking saw-like motion, but using that in a scraping way actually ended up working out a lot better. Here you can see we're moving on to the next sections, and we actually have a rebar post in there to show what sections we're going to actually be working on so that we're not taking on too much of a load. And then we're going to use the past level over there on the left, so you can see that everything's level, and then that's going to be our center point of how we know that things are kind of sort of level. I was really trying to rent a power screed on this DIY pour, but basically when it came down to it, the money that they wanted for the power screed was not worth it. So we ended up just screeding by hand, which ended up working pretty decently. Obviously, if it would have had the power screed, it would have probably turned out a little bit better and, would have had that nice finish to it. But it's nice to do it by hand as well. So this ended up saving us a little bit of money, and we're kind of sharpening our skills here too. I'm not sure if you guys have ever done any kind of concrete work, but for me, just trying to stay level and not having any humps in the concrete while you're screeding it is probably the hardest thing for me. And just the 10-foot section of wood that we had, just making sure that there weren't any low spots or anything else like that. There's a lot that you got to pay attention to. It's not just making sure that you're just scraping the top. There's a lot more that goes into it, and I quickly found out. Again, this is just one of the numerous times that the truck driver helped us out, so I was kind of lacking on my side, and the driver kind of noticed it a little bit, and he took over, and I ended up filling in some of the low spots because he was seeing that with his eye. So we ended up coming back over a little bit of spot that we've already done, just so that it would be level, and he ended up being a tremendous help here, so that side's definitely looking good. Basically at this point, we're a little at 3/4 of the way done, and we're kind of getting the hang of how this stuff goes. So spreading it out is getting a little bit easier. We're kind of working as a team a little bit better, and then when we go to screed it, we're both on the same page. Before we were kind of fighting each other of how the rhythm goes and how we wanted stuff to go. But as of right now, we don't have any low spots. Everything looks good, and we're moving pretty fluidly. You could see in the previous frame that the driver went and took the float, and he's actually bull floating the other side. So again, he's the fourth member on the team, and he came in pretty great with that. So while we're doing this, he's over there floating the other side. And at this moment right here is when we found out that we did not have enough concrete for the rest of the pour. So I ordered 10 yards, and we used all of it. So we'll get into it a little bit here, but you can see that we were supposed to go another 4 feet on each side, and it's 24 feet in length, so we're missing quite a bit. I miscalculated on my end, but it's a Saturday, so they wouldn't bring any more trucks out. I'll have to come back and finish the rest of this by hand because they're going to charge me a short load fee, and that's just not what I want to do. But for the most part, everything here looks good. We're going to have to come back and finish it a little bit just to get some of those spots out. But overall, all of this stuff looks great. So for the cost analysis breakdown, this is a 28 by 24 pad. And for the delivery of all of the concrete, it ended up costing me $1,817. So all in all, I think it was definitely worth it because mixing that by hand would have been absolutely terrible. And again, shout out to that delivery driver because he was phenomenal. Let me know what you guys think of this pad. Let me know what you think of the pour. Would you guys have done something differently? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video.